All right, hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10. So today we're going to be talking about sales managers, the desk manager, boss behind the curtain, whatever you want to call it. We are going to be addressing sales managers because today I got to tell you, the desk will make all the difference in today's world, period. They help mold the salespeople. They help mold the deal. They help interact with the general manager and the sales team. There is a lot of things that can go on from the desk up that need to be addressed. So, and it's good or bad, right? You're going to hear some things today. You're going to go, man, I agree. Some things you're probably going to hear you say, Sean, that's BS, man. I'm too busy. I can't deal with it. Look, I get it. I've lived it. I understand you. But you have to take a step back. If you're overwhelmed with the job, that's a whole nother issue that needs to be addressed. So I'm going to start at the top, right, with I believe is attitude. What is your attitude when it comes to your salespeople? Are you someone who is cooperative or are you combative? Right? Are you someone who, if a salesperson asks a question, you're going to jump out of your desk and you're going to get upset about what you hear, or are you going to process it? Right? Are you someone who's very positive, right? I'm an extremely positive person. I wake up what you hear on this podcast. This is how I go about my day from start to finish. Everyone has off days, but in general, this is my approach. So I am a fairly positive guy. And being on the desk, you have to decide who you are. I don't need you to be rah-rah just to be on the desk. That's not what I'm saying, okay? What I'm saying is you've got to decide how you're going to interact with your people each and every day, because you may not realize this, but you are as responsible for the success of a car dealership as any other single human being in the store. Period. That's it. And you, like I said before, your attitude is very responsible for. So let's take, I've got stores that have sales managers, and then they go into a BDC, right? And then you have your sales people included, and then you get up to the GM. So you have the desk is responsible for making sure the BDC is cool, making sure the sales department's cool, making sure the sales and BDC department work together cool, making sure the sales managers work with the desk and the BDC and the salespeople well, and then communicate that all to the GM, who's probably there overseeing each and every step as is, but still have to answer and atone for what's going on in a particular moment. I see all the time terrible sales manager BDC relationships. Terrible. BDC manager is someone who, maybe it revolves around pay, okay? Careful with the money thing. What someone gets paid to run a BDC versus what someone gets paid to run a desk. If you haven't done either or both jobs, it can be difficult for you to say, is that good or is that bad? Is that fair? Is that too much, right? I liken it to a couple weeks ago, I was with my dad at a baseball game up here in Milwaukee, and we were sitting up in the club level behind the plate, and every pitch that was thrown, people would have a reaction sitting around us. And I'd say to my dad, how could you know that from sitting up here? What do you know about what's really, really going on, right? You can't make decisions from that position. You've got to be more involved. So you have to have everything in a place where you can see it and understand it. That's the most important thing. So when I talk about, are you a leader? Are you a numbers guy? Think about that, because I think there's an important distinction to be made. I'm a numbers guy and I'm a closer. I'm not rah-rah. I don't even know that I'm much of a leader. I'm going to be honest with you. I know Sean Kelly's going to be blowing me up after this, telling me, I am a leader or I can be coached or whatever. But my point is that I'm a numbers guy. That's how I dive into my work. That's how I approach everything, is analytical. I try to eliminate the human element of emotion because I really don't need it to make my decision in a business setting. Okay. But there are guys who are leaders, they're rah-rah, and they're number guy. You should figure out if you're both. Figure out if you're neither. And then figure out if you've had the appropriate training for the job. Because I'm going to guess the majority of you listening to this, unfortunately, probably haven't been trained to the fullest extent or availability at your dealerships. How do I know that? Well, I know that because every single day I see it in dealerships where managers are promoted from sales positions with the full understanding that that is now their promotion and the best of luck is to be told. That's it. That's difficult, guys. That's difficult. So you need proper training. We already brought him up once, so let's jump into him a little bit more. That brings me to kind of my Sean Kelly deal. Recently here, Sean posted an article about basically the perfect sales manager type situation. I don't remember exactly as he said it, but it was the idea that, hey, you can be great at being a sales manager, but here are a couple things that you're going to want to think about along the way to do so. And so I skimmed through the article. It's kind of the kind of reader that I am. And so I took out a few bullet points that I liked. To be fair, it's traits of an exceptional desk manager, which is Sean Kelly. Everything is exceptionally awesome and follows the pillars of training. That's why I love the guy. He's very specific. But he pointed out there's over 37,000 car dealers between new and used in the country, which already leads me to tell you something I said weeks ago on this podcast. There's just not enough good help in the world left to go around for all these dealerships. So we know training is necessary, but training your desk to give them the ability to train your salespeople is something that I think is important. And Sean talks about that in this article. He goes through it. He says everything in it. Hey, this is how I would approach it. This is why I do it this way, etc. Couple of highlights. Expectations. You need to set them with your people. I totally agree. Follow the whole deal. Guys, if you're a desk manager and you're engaged, again, I know you're busy. I get it. But try to figure out if you can. Obviously, you know how many deals you're working. If you're overwhelmed and can't figure out how many deals you're working, you probably need another desk guy. So watch the deal. See what happens. Sean points out getting involved early. That's important for meeting the customers, getting out there. All within the sale. I'll tell you something about my follow-up to that is time kills deals. And in the new world of digital retail, which, by the way, sales managers, you have a humongous part in making sure of. That goes for UCs and new car managers. You guys are extremely, extremely important to digital retail, because if you don't buy in on giving prices, payments, quoting all this online, or appraising trades without seeing them, or getting into finance, if you're not on board with this and your stores are using it, I suggest you either quit or tell them to cancel it, because this will never work. Digital retail is so overblown, first of all, but let's just assume it wasn't for a second. And everything everyone is saying is true. We're going to be outsourced by computers by like the end of the year, okay? So I need you to get involved with this process and understand that there are going to be deals that you will negotiate over the phone, that you will not see a trade, that you'll have to hit for ranges, that you may never meet a customer. That has to be a thing. You have to wrap your mind around it. And if you can't wrap your mind around it, I tell you to go find another job or go back into sales, because it's coming. Not as quickly as people believe, but it is coming, and that change has to happen. The interaction that people hate most is when salespeople walk behind a curtain on the other side of the desk, they can't see it, and then they're over there talking to you. We know what's going on in there. It's typically a bunch of nothing. All right? We know that, but we need there to be more. There has to be more from where you guys are at. So I tell you this as wholeheartedly and honestly as I can. Managers, you make the difference. Another thing Sean points out, you need to create game plans with your people. That's extremely, extremely important. From a desking continuity sense, he kind of suggests working all of your deals the same way, and I agree, making it easier on the salespeople. How many times do I hear, or guys like Sean or anyone else in the store, how many times do they hear, I go to that desk manager because I like the way he works deals. I get it. That's the human element. You got to eliminate it. Should not be anything about that. Sales managers, most of you came from selling cars. Don't forget that. Please stop looking at your salespeople and assuming perfection when you know full well you were not perfect when you were a salesperson. And you probably, again, weren't given the proper training. So now you're doing things because you don't know any better. That's an issue. And you need to get involved with that. So that was fun, man. This was a good, full 10 minutes of energy, bringing it to you guys on the sales manager side. There might be a follow-up one to this in the future. Hell, I might even have a good sales manager buddy of mine on here to kind of talk it over with him, see what he thinks. So as always, guys, you can reach me on the phone and text line, 262-278-0157. You can email me, Sean, SEAN, @carbizdonbetter.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, extremely active, and you can find the company on all other social platforms. If you leave us a message, it will find its way back to my desk. And if it doesn't and you want to hear from me, you have the number. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.